bit of passivity. Both players, of course, being able to see everything, considering that they do have overlords in each other's lanes. Looks like Renegade is going to just lag momentarily, so let me just break down the situation right now. So Max has a huge army advantage. He has a choice of either expanding and getting a stronger lead so he can reinforce, or he can try to pressure and try to potentially end it with his advantage. But of course the safer option is to macro up, especially since the third expansion is pretty far away. It's not that close, so it's not like he can snipe it and then run away. He will be able to defend it. And at the same time, Max does have a lot more drones, so he will be able to recover much faster. And eventually he wants to get to the point where his Roach army is so large that his concave will not be able to be stopped. He is getting burrow, and if House does not have an overseer at that time, that might actually be the game. So that's what Max might be thinking at this point. And at this point, he's going for double Evo Chamber, not really using it just yet. Looks like House is floating around. Looks like a Baneling did try to do some damage, but House just stopped it right there, so nice job. House, of course, not really doing anything at his main, not even spreading his creep, I think, so a little bit of a mistake there. Going for Roach speed finally, and it looks like House is finally going to throw down Evo Chamber as well. Looks like the Zerglings actually want to snipe that third. Might he force a cancel? That would be huge. And it looks like, yeah, he will cancel it completely, so a nice job there by House to force that cancel. That could potentially save him the game, but meanwhile Max is going for a huge Roach push. He doesn't have Roach speed though. That might do a lot of damage to Max. Max at the same time, not going to be paired. He is going to just go for it. That is a lot of Roaches. That is 41 Roaches. Good lord, that is a ton. House only has about 20 some, so he's going to need a lot more, but he's making a ton of Roaches. That might be exactly what he needs. He needs an Overseer as well because he does have Burrow, so that might make a huge difference here. Looks like the Zerglings are going to come in for a flank, and it looks like Max being in a precarious situation. He's going to try to do a lot of kiting. Looks like the Burrow does go down though, so House going to realize he needs to make an Overseer A prompt, and it looks like he will make one over here at his natural. Meanwhile, looks like the engagement is going to come back here. Looks like House going to try to do, he's going to save it, wants to save the Zerglings as much as possible. They will soften up the Roaches, and Max again is going to do a mass burrow. At this time, House does have a third up, so again, he is pulling a little bit ahead in the production. We look at the supply count. House now in the lead, so right now, Max completely cornered at this point right now with his Roaches. He's going to have to either run or really commit to attack, but at this point he stalled for too long. He does House does have an Overseer. He does have the superior Roach count, only by 3. Looks like the Banelings can make a huge difference though if he can do engagement. Here comes House. He does have Roach speed, which helps him with that concave, and it looks like he gets a nice arc here. Zerglings are rushing in to do some nice reinforcement damage, and it looks like these Zerglings, we want to keep them alive. Nice micro here. Again, here come the Banelings, but the Banelings are not good. House with a superior concave. Looks like House wants to go up here and do a lot of damage, but the Burrow is going to regenerate some health. House right now in a huge Roach lead, 58 to 31, and it looks like House going to be able to do a ton of damage. Max forced to retreat. He's going for his third as soon as possible, but House in complete control, so nice job here. Looks like Max does have some Banelings though, which could do a lot of economic damage. House not going to be outsmarted though. Looks like he's going to force all those Banelings to detonate, and it looks like at this point House in a really nice position to make a giant push. He does not have upgrades. That's the one thing going for Max, though. He is 1-1, but there are too many Roaches here, but instead House pulls back. I think he wants to saturate his third, and at this point House gonna go for upgrades as well, so House just getting a pretty strong lead. I think he could have ended the game, but again, going for the smart thing, not trying to overextend himself. Meanwhile, looks like Max just finished his third as well, so wow, that was a pretty action-packed. We pull up the Harvester count. Actually, House is still behind in workers because he made so many darn Roaches. If you look, a lot of them, it is like a traffic light with green, red, and yellow. So House, of course, needs to get some time to let those Roaches heal up. Meanwhile, it looks like Max does have that Burrow. Doesn't have Burrow movement, though. Although Burrow movement not very helpful when he has an Overseer. Now, both players are approaching max. House is almost max on pure roaches. Looks like Max is going to try to snipe these overlords, which might be a pain in the butt for House. He does have to spend that overlord, those larvae. But this is interesting because House knows that Hydras are on the field. It looks like a couple Zerglings try to pick off some units as well, so not too much damage done there. Max approaching max supply as well. So it looks like at this point both players looking to take over the map. It looks like House going for a fourth. A couple Zerglings are coming here to snipe, but a few Roaches are here as well, so damage will be completely minimized. Meanwhile, it looks like the Roach is going to go for a huge attack. This is a huge timing attack here by House. He does have +1 almost done. He is actually going to run though, because he did realize he did not have +1 finished in time, so that was actually a little bit of a mistake there. Also, Max is going for Hydras as well, and House does know that, so he's going to have to mix it up a little bit. Oh, I see. He was throwing a little bit of supply away so we can get Hydras, so that was actually a pretty smart, interesting thing. He needed to throw away some supply so he can get Hydras with that army composition. But at the same time, I think one thing that's working in the favor of Max is that he does have creep spread, so it will help his Hydras reinforce a lot stronger. Meanwhile, House getting ready for a giant push. Once again, looks like he wants to push in and just run, sniping some units here. Looks like House, a little bit of a control issue. Right now, I think he's just going to run in and out. Those units trying to do as much damage as possible. House at the same time looking to remax on pure Hydra at this point. And looks like he is going to just save up right now. Going to get for a Groove Spines. +2 on the way for both players. Going to engage here. House with a superior concave. And it looks like a bunch of these units here. Oh, but these Hydras are doing a sick amount of damage. We pull up the supply count. House still ahead, but it is about evening up pretty much here. And it looks like at this point, the Roach count is evening because these Hydras are doing a sick amount of damage. That +1 armor doing a lot, but Hydras now here to reinforce. And these Hydras are off creep. These Hydras actually can do a ton. Going to lose a lot of health. Looks like House just reinforces not enough, and looks like both players are going to have to back off. House, of course, in a commanding lead by 40 supply, but of course, anything could happen because a lot of larva could be spent at this moment. Max at the same time not saturating his third at all, while House is, so the income is going to be considerably in the favor of House. House also has a 4th hatchery, so this could be the huge difference maker. Looks like Max wants to make a Spire, so a Spire, of course, going to be able to get Mulus, able to get Corruptors or even Broodlords, depends on what he wants in his late game plan. House, of course, mined out of his main, so House going to be very cautious with what he wants to do. Looks like he's going to actually push in, going to press his issue. At this point, though, Max does not have enough. He only has Roaches and some Hydras. He is pretty behind in supply count. House, of course, going to continue to scout what he has with his army composition. And at this point, though, House is up by 30 supply, but it is in pure Roach. He is up at 16 Roaches. And House, of course, going to finish +2. Looks like he's going for +1 armor finally. Meanwhile, a bunch of gas is being spent for Max on that Spire. Looks like both players are just going to be very cautious with how they engage. Looks like Max wants to be, again, careful because those Hydras are off creep. And if you bring them too far and the Roaches die, those Hydras are as good as dead since they basically walk as slow as a newborn baby. So both players looks like want to just continue to just make as many units. Going for the gold, interesting choice here by Max, considering that it is a lot harder to hold. But if he goes for the, if House is able to go for a quick snipe, he might be able to do a lot of damage there. Now Max does control watchtowers, which has actually surprisingly been something that neither player has been active in doing, which is controlling the tower. House should get rid of that Overlord. There it is. So that Overlord has been sitting there for a really long time. Meanwhile, Max wants to actually make some Banes, but he cancels at the same time. Looks like House sees that Overseer as well. Get rid of that Overseer. You can just pick off anything you want for advantage. Meanwhile, a couple of Zerglings are out. Looks like he wants to go for Banelings as well, which could actually do sick damage. House might not have any defense here. He doesn't even have a queen to start tanking damage. Looks like a couple roaches are out, and ooh, House actually catches that perfectly. So that was actually quite a ninja move there. I think House did see that signal where that Spine Crawler did get a kill, so he was aware that Zerglings or Banelings were morphing there. So that was a very smart play there. Mutalisks are now out on the field for Max. He will be able to do a lot of harassment, but not a lot of Mutalisks. Only 9 comparatively to all those. Looks like House going for a huge concave. Nice surround here. Not all the roaches and Hydras can engage. This is actually really, really bad news for Max, but at the same time, both players going. Looks like a bunch of units are coming in. Mutalisks are trying to engage as well. Hydras is doing a ton of damage to those Mutalisks. Those Mutalisks are basically nullified, but there's only Hydras left basically for House. Looks like he's going to want to spread them out a lot better, defend a little bit more. And it looks like at this point, House wants to be very careful. He is have a supply count, and if he can win this battle, that actually might be a huge difference. Looks like only Hydras are left, a lot of roaches are left, even a drone coming into fight. It looks like at this point, Max has nothing left. House doubling up in supply. Looks like this one lone Mutalisk for Max is going to die as well. House trying to get on the creep, really smart, trying to improve his concave. More roaches are flowing in, and it looks like a bunch of drones did burrow, so nice job there by Max, trying to save his drones as much as possible. But at this point, Max has almost nothing left. Just 4 Hydras, a couple Hydras, and a couple roaches. Actually, the most numerous unit he has are his drones. So this is not looking good. House just going to continue to macro up. Even going for some infestors, so at this point he will be able to do a lot of fungal and damage in that way, basically being able to freeze that army. Looks like Max going to continue to have those reinforcement forces picked off GG, so UCSD will climb back in the series 1-1 after a pretty epic ZVZ on Metalopolis. So great job there by House to just do as much damage with those roaches, saving up, picking the right time to engage, even throwing away supply. And at this point, he was House falling behind a little bit in the beginning, climbing back very, very nicely, never losing his lead or relinquishing it. So great job there. And at this point, it looks like we're going to wait for game number 3. It will be a 2v2, so it is a little bit of a special. Actually, I'm going to do selected. There we go. Alright, so with that being said, I do believe we're gonna go to I don't remember what map it is. Let me see. It is Warzone, which is a shared, it's a separate but also a shared base, so that's kind of how it works. We are gonna wait for the invite, but I'm not going to wait for it. Looks like we are going to just join immediately. It's going to be Top and McLovin versus, I guess, Cinnamon and Jash. There we go. So it will be PZ versus TZ, which is an interesting combination. And this time I want to ask for to be the ref, because I don't want to see the spectator chat. It is a little bit distracting. Alright, so with that being said, looks like we are underway 2v2 on Warzone. So looks like Jash and Cinnamon gonna represent Virginia Tech. And I'm actually gonna reset the colors since it actually does not matter whatsoever. I'll just pick a color randomly. I'll pick orange or green. So I'll just pick orange, and it looks like McLovin will just pick him as red. So all players in this matchup wanting to take the lead for the school. Of course, Cinnamon gonna spawn out in the bottom right as the pink Zerg. At the bottom left, it will be Jash as the orange Protoss. So this will represent the Virginia Tech 2v2 team. Of course, Protoss and Zerg in combination